And we're back. Apparently, YouTube has yet to kick us off. Then again, they got bigger fish to fry, just like WWE Thunderdome does. There's so many things that we have to talk about this week. We've got all things WWE, all things AEW. The PWI 500 came out. Somebody's happy, somebody's got issues, and Brian's going to be an innocent bystander to this car wreck that's about to happen. Welcome to Wrestling with Ego. No green screen, technical difficulties. You're welcome. I'm Patrick, joined each and every week by my boys, Brian and RJ. How's it going, guys?
It's going. How about you?
It's going. It's a Friday night as opposed to a Saturday night last week. So no having to watch a show while we're doing a show and trying not to spoil things from my boy Brian over here. Even though I really wanted to, because while we were filming Wrestling with Egos last week, I was watching Adam Cole and Pat McAfee. We'll get to that here in just a few minutes. I promise you, it's coming right after the first segment. As you guys are, as we're talking, you guys are seeing the socials, you guys are seeing the email address. Truth be told, while you guys are emailing us, and we appreciate it, you know it'd be a lot easier? Leave comments. Leave comments. We see these things, and there's only one person commenting. I can't even remember the username, but thanks. Appreciate you. You awesome. But yeah, leave comments, like, subscribe, hammer that notification button. Hammer the share button too. Tell the world how awesome we is, and all that good stuff. Let's go.
Tell your neighbor lady across the street. Watch Wrestling with Egos.
Damn right. Yeah. Make your grandmama watch it. It'd be good for her. She ain't got nothing better to do except, she ain't got nothing better to do after Price is Right's over with. Watch Drew Carey, then watch 3 other Northeast Ohio guys. Even though one has a Southern accent and has, even without hair, has better hair than Drew Carey. Moving right along. Let's go ahead and start tonight off with an oldie but a goodie. A little good, bad, and the ugly. How about it, guys? Sound good to you?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let me go first. Mine's actually going to be pretty cut and dry. My good is there are a couple things in WWE that have happened that have been really freaking awesome over the last 7 days. Number one, the aforementioned Pat McAfee Adam Cole match. And so many great things about that. And I don't just mean from the side of Pat McAfee. We'll talk about it in a minute. Really glad to see Keith Lee not only get called up, but get thrown into a program instantly with one of the smoothest workers of all time in Randy Orton, which proves they ain't gonna just be all willy-nilly with the Limitless one. They have some big plans to bask in that man's glory. And the upcoming not even a fatal four-way 60-minute Iron Man match for the NXT Championship on Tuesday. We're doing a fatal 4-way Iron Man match. Oh my God.
Pretty darn good way to get me to watch it.
Say what?
That's a pretty darn good way to get me to watch the show.
Okay. First off, you just tell me, okay, Karrion Kross had to vacate the title. It's a fatal 4-way 60-minute Iron Man match for the title. I don't need to know who's in it to say, yeah, I'm going to watch this. And then oh, yeah, by the way, it's Ciampa, Balor, Gargano, Cole.
Wait.
Shut up and take my money. All my money. Yeah, I'm working Tuesday night, but trust me, I am coming into this living room, sitting right here on this couch as soon as I get home and grabbing this little beauty right here and going click. Thank God for DVRs.
Yeah.
That's my good. All the huge things we have to look forward to in just the next couple of days with payback on Sunday, and now this bananas match on NXT Super Tuesday. My bad. I gotta be honest. I hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. When a championship has to be vacated because of injury. I don't care who it is. I don't care if I like the guy or if I hate the guy. It sucks. No matter whether it's someone I want to boo or hate, it's just bullcrap. And that happened to Karrion Kross with the separated shoulder from his match with Keith Lee at Takeover. Had to vacate the title. Really cool promo to vacate the title, but still sucks to vacate the title. Finn Balor knows how that feels, being the first Universal Champion and lasting one day, because Seth Rollins is an idiot. It sucks. I hate it. Honestly, that could be my bad and my ugly. Because it's just it's just crap. Such a bummer. But you know what? I'll make that my ugly. My bad is the announcement, and this is very NXT heavy, but I'm fine with that. The bad is the announcement that NXT UK is returning, I believe, on September 19th. And it's not the fact that NXT UK is returning, it's just taking this damn long. I like NXT UK. I get to see we get to watch Walter. We get to watch Jordan Devlin. There's so many guys in NXT UK that are amazing to watch, and we're finally going to be able to see them again. It just sucks that we've taken Mustache freaking Mountain. Hell yes. But it just sucks that we've taken this long in the era of global pandemic asshole for this to happen. So good, bad, ugly. RJ.
Well, my good is I gotta go with the ending of the Saturday episode of AEW Dynamite. That and Brody Lee squashing Cody, who does not get a single offensive move in to win the TNT Championship, and then the aftermath of that whole match was so spectacularly well done. I thought it was the best ending that Dynamite has ever had in the existence of the television show.
A very dark ending.
It absolutely. It put the Dark Order over in a way that they have previously been unable to do.
If I could argue, it put him on the map.
Yeah, no, right.
Not just okay, here's the Dark Order with Evil Uno and the Creepers and him having the human chair and all that. So, in my opinion, with that, they went from novelty to legit.
I agree, 100%. I agree with that. That wording is perfect. I agree. My bad is also Karrion Kross vacating the championship. I don't watch NXT on a regular basis, but I known, Killer Kross as he used to be known. Karrion Kross now is, oh my gosh, there aren't enough words to describe the talent that man has. He is so good. The package of him and Scarlett is phenomenal. It is an absolute shame to see him become NXT champion and immediately have to vacate the championship because of injury. Horrific.
With you on the package, no matter whether it's the Killer Smoke Show or what they're doing in NXT with Scarlett being the Angel of Doom. Real quick, something I forgot to mention when I was talking about it. The promo that he cut, surrendering the title. and he takes the title and he puts it on the mat, and then Scarlett takes the hourglass, puts it down behind it, and flips it so the sand begins to run. Jesus.
Baller. That was baller. It was such a great idea.
That is epic.
Absolutely. Epic is a fantastic. Epic is a very overused word. I think that is a fantastic use of the word epic. That is a great, great idea. That would also, under normal circumstances, be my ugly. However, there is another thing that is very egregious to me. My ugly has to be the WWE Thunderdome and the absolute idiots.
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there because this is something that's been sticking in my craw all week long. I don't normally do this on this show. I like to keep a very level head, a very even keel, but I've stewed about this all week. I warned my two co-hosts that this was going to happen. I can't stay silent any longer. Let me explain something to everybody out there in Wrestling with Egos land. No, let me go a step further and explain something to everybody out there in wrestling land. You people sit here and you bemoan the fact that WWE doesn't do anything revolutionary. They don't do anything groundbreaking. They don't do anything outside of the tried and true. And here they're trying something like Thunderdome to bring wrestling fans back into the fold because you can't be there live. As I said last week, you probably have some kind of a monetary obligation to be part of this. So you are consciously taking money out of your own pocket to say, yes, I want to be a part of this. And you see the stipulations for participating in that. And then you willfully choose to fly in the face of those stipulations, to go into business for yourself, to throw up pictures of a wrestler who killed his wife, killed his son, and then committed suicide, to stream videos of an organization that is so backwards and out of the 1930s it's not even funny, and that any average American could acknowledge, hey, we don't go with that way of thinking right now. And you want to hold up all these other signs and you want to do all these other things, you're going to ruin it for the rest of us. You're going to ruin it for the people that actually want to watch wrestling, because we're here for the wrestling. Is it the best wrestling in the world? Probably not. I'm sure New Japan has something better to offer. I'm sure that AEW has something better to offer. I'm sure that NXT has something better to offer. But here, we're here for the wrestling. And you decided to go into business for yourself. What's probably going to happen now is you guys think you're hot shit because you decided to go into business for yourself. And now you're going to have all the copycats lining up. Oh, well, if they decided to do it, I'm going to do it too. And then WWE is going to decide, you know what? We're going back to the Performance Center. I'm sick and tired of people going into business for themselves. I'm sick and tired of people who think they know better, even though I'm sitting here kind of doing the same thing. But let's put that aside for a second. I'm sick and tired of people who want to pay money and sit there and criticize the product they're watching. Certainly you can find something better to do with your time than ruin it for the rest of us. Certainly you could find it within yourself to actually watch the product in front of you. Watch this tag team match that's happening. Watch this women's match that's happening. Watch this Universal Championship match that's happening and interact with it as a wrestling fan, instead of trying to push your own backwards, out of touch, out of date agenda, and stop ruining it for the rest of us that actually want to watch professional wrestling. I'm done. Oh, I'm not quite done. Freedom of speech is a thing. But the part that everybody seems to so conveniently leave out of that, with freedom of speech comes a responsibility. You never know what your words are going to do to someone else. You never know how your words are going to incite somebody else or make them feel. That's the problem with America right now. Everybody wants to shoot their mouth off, and they don't want to think about consequences. Your words have consequences. Your actions darn sure have consequences. And the consequence here might just be the WWE decides, you know what, this isn't worth it. Now I'm done.
Damn right.
We here at Wrestling with Egos feel that everyone is entitled to their opinion. Some might argue, and I'm saying this deliberately, some might argue that the views and opinions of one Brian Kriego do not necessarily reflect blah, 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 blah. However, they should. If, by some chance, you do not agree with the distinguished gentleman in camera 3 that just spoke, and you are watching this show, I have a request. 2 requests. One polite, one really horrible. Polite request, stop watching this show permanently.
Believe it or not, Patrick said something so bad that RJ and Brian asked him to edit it out.
Thank you. Thank you for saying it, Brian. Thank you for saying it.
Yep.
You said it a hell of a lot better than either one of us could, and with far, far, far fewer 4-letter words.
Absolutely.
RJ and I would have dropped at least 7 S-bombs and at least a half a dozen F-bombs. And
Yeah,
you said shit once.
I was all ready for my WWE Thunderdome ugly bomb dropping, and I couldn't have said it better. No way I could have said it better.
Brian literally just went, follow that, bitches.
I'm gonna get my stuff in tonight.
Hey, FTMF, if you don't know what that stands for. Look it up. First word.
Okay, on to things I
First
actually
word-
want to talk about tonight.
Hey, let's talk about some fun stuff.
Yeah.
Adam Cole, baby. No. Pat McAfee, mofo.
There you go.
Okay. We had planned tonight on doing a bar talk of the best in-ring celebrity performances of all time.
We mentioned on Golfing with Egos that we were going to do that soon.
Yes. This is number 1 with a bullet. My thoughts initially, Pat McAfee, his performance against Adam Cole was not good for a celebrity. It was just good.
Absolutely.
Pat McAfee didn't, what, Brian, you've got the way with words on these things. He blamed himself. He did right.
He acquitted himself. He didn't go into this match treating it as, okay, I'm just gonna have some fun.
No.
Even though that's what he said in the interview, because you could tell there was a well thought out promo structure when he was walking backstage with the microphone. You could tell that he was playing the role of heel to perfection because he had a squad with him. The one guy that I recognized was AJ Hawk from Ohio State University, formerly of the Green Bay Packers. And he had a couple other guys, that are friends of his, playing that heel, the cowardly / calculating heel role to perfection. But then when he got in the ring, you could tell that he had put the work in.
Oh, God, yeah. He absolutely did.
This wasn't Snooki pretending to do a move in WrestleMania all those years ago. This was a guy, he put the work in, he took the bumps at the Performance Center, obviously, and, he obviously must have sat down with Adam Cole at some point and said, well, how do we want to do this? What do we think we want to do promo-wise? What do we think we want to do move-wise?
You guys know me. The one thing I appreciate in wrestling more than anything else is psychology. And Adam Cole is one of the best psychological wrestlers on the planet.
Absolutely.
You can't convince me otherwise. Pat McAfee belonged. Not just in a wrestling ring, not just in an NXT ring. Pat McAfee belonged in the ring with Adam Cole, who most people will agree right now, one of the best on the planet.
Absolutely.
Boom. And Pat McAfee belongs. And it was just like, holy crap. I went from beginning this match like, all right, I'm hoping, because Pat McAfee is such a wrestling fan, and he is such a driven, crazy egomaniac.
Absolutely.
He's not, I expected him to not suck. I expected, when we talk about this, Pat McAfee did I. He did I. Pat McAfee was freaking awesome.
It
Pat
was
McAfee excelled.
There were a lot of people that were crapping all over it going in. I personally loathe celebrity wrestling matches. I can't stand it. I hate it. As soon as AEW was over that night, I immediately went and opened my WWE network and turned on the Pat McAfee Adam Cole match because I expected it to be good. Knowing the same things you said about McAfee, knowing that he would not let himself stink up the joint, I expected it to be good. Having followed him for several years, knowing his personality, knowing you mentioned egomaniac, that's a great way to describe him, and not negatively, Mr. McAfee, if you're watching this show. That is not meant negatively at all.
Time. This show is called Wrestling with Egos.
Right, absolutely.
The reason this show is called Wrestling with Egos, and it's not because of either one of those two guys. It's me.
And McAfee could call his show the same freaking thing, like, because he's very over the top when it comes to putting over Pat McAfee.
Okay.
So he was never going to step in front of that camera and suck. I knew that was never going to happen. Turning it on, expecting it to be good, it still blew my freaking mind. I did not expect that it would be that freaking good. I expected a decently good performance from McAfee. I did not expect a show stealer at a freaking takeover, and that's what we got.
A celebrity. Two things. One, and a couple things, and then I'll kick it over to you, Brian. One, a celebrity stole a takeover. Two, a celebrity might be in the discussion for match of the year in all things WWE. Not going to even touch AEW or New Japan in this conversation. All things WWE is in the discussion for match of the year here at the end of August. Number 10, very small spots that stood out to me in this match. Number one, the dive off the top rope onto everyone.
Yep.
Landing on his ass as the whole pile falls. Woo! I'm like, yeah, the man is feeling it. Number two, the setup for his punt kick. I love the fact that as soon as he connects, Corey Graves yells out, touchback.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like, if he continues, he has to name it that. So let it be written, so let it be done. The connection on that and the way he set that up, honestly, it was like Adam Cole pulling the knee pad down for the last shot. It was like Shawn being in the corner, stomping his foot for the sweet chin music. It was that theatrical of a setup. And I was like, oh crap, this is good. Finally, Pat McAfee not only took, but sold to damn perfection the Panama City Sunrise.
He did.
He's a celebrity. Damn near flawlessly sold a Canadian destroyer. I guarantee you there isn't a single sumbitch on this show that can say, yeah, I can do a Canadian, I can take a Canadian destroyer. Bullcrap. Brian, your thoughts on, may I say, Mr. Takeover 30?
Here's a mini spoiler alert for when we do the bar talk about the list of greatest celebrity involvements. My list is awfully, awfully, awfully short because, as you have said before, so many of them have underdelivered. You know, for all the hype that any promotion, insert name of promotion here, WCW, WWE has thrown into it. Oh my God, we've got this person. It's going to be great. And it comes off like a fart in church. Here,
You used my line. Thank you.
Here you have the, like I said, it's a guy that obviously knew what he had to do to make it work, and he had a dance partner in Adam Cole who understood, despite all of this, I know Pat's got some limitations, so I'm going to work with him, and we're going to, you know, you're only as good as your dance partner is. Because if Adam Cole doesn't play along, you know, then you don't have a match either. So both guys did their best. And I think Adam Cole's brilliance in this whole thing was not talking as much as he normally does. He let Pat McAfee do all the talking, and in the NXT episode before Takeover, Pat McAfee's doing all this talking. What if, you know, me, Pat McAfee, actually beats at the great Adam Cole and all this stuff, and Adam's just sitting there taking it. Then he walks up to him in the corner just really quietly. At Takeover 30, I'm going to make you my bitch. And that was all he really needed to say at that point, because Adam Cole's the kind of a guy that, yeah, I can talk a good game, but my wrestling's going to do the talking here. Everybody played their role to perfection. I thought it was match of the night, if not the best match of the night, by a long shot. I dare say it was even better than Keith Lee and Karrion Kross.
You can dare say that. You can easily dare say that. I don't think Karrion Kross and Keith Lee, as good of a match as it was, even though Karrion Kross jacked his shoulder up halfway through the damn match, as great of a match as really good of a match as that was, no, it doesn't touch Adam Cole and Pat McAfee. Cut, print, kill the pig. Done.
That being said, I was way off. Like, if we spin it into what happened at SummerSlam, they were right when they said you'll never see it coming. Brian never saw half the things coming that actually happened on SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you look at the main event, you know, Strowman versus Wyatt. We're all sitting here, how's Alexa Bliss going to be involved? And what's this going to be like? And we saw neither hide nor hair of her the whole night. RJ, why are you catatonic?
Because I just got a notification on my phone that Chadwick Bozeman died.
Oh no, that's no good.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and it's they posted on an hour ago, they posted on his personal Twitter confirming, like, it's not fake.
Yikes.
Sorry, it was just like, it popped up on my phone, and I was like, what's that on my phone? And I looked and, like, was completely caught off guard. Oh my God. Oh crap. Wow. Sorry. That. Whoa.
Holy cow. Well, really quickly on that one, hell of an actor. Obviously, for any comic book nerd, Black Panther. If you're a baseball guy and you haven't seen 42, watch it.
Yeah.
I get proud to say that over the last year, I've gotten a brand new perspective on the Jackie Robinson story because a lady in the community where I go to church is the great niece of Branch Rickey, who
Oh
was
wow.
of the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Right.
And she has knowledge of, she was, relatively young when he brought Jackie Robinson to the Dodgers. So she has knowledge of all this because it's her dad's brother.
Right.
So,
Wow.
being able to talk with my friend Franny, brings a whole new perspective to that, and it's just a phenomenal movie. God.
And that is incredibly unfortunate, but it brings you up short.
That sucks.
That's awful.
So yeah. Well, let's try and continue the show as best we can. Let's go ahead and we were talking about SummerSlam, and we were talking about not seeing it coming. Brian, you were alluding to the fact that we were waiting for Alexa Bliss to be factored into the Strowman and Wyatt match as Sister Abigail, and it never
And then
happened.
I got somebody totally different. I got somebody taller, deeper voice, and raring to go.
And if I might add, with a beautiful smile.
Yeah. I only came up with that after the fact. That I was not focused on that, even though I heard people talking about it during the week. I have some questions about this.
Okay, shoot. As do I.
The way Roman was going, for the uninitiated, Roman Reigns made an appearance at the end of this match. The Fiend exposed the wooden planks underneath the ring.
Nope. Strowman did that.
Strowman did. That's right. But then the Fiend used it against him. Hit some finishing moves on the planks and was able to pin Strowman to become the champion again. And then almost immediately, out of nowhere, you see this big black blur come in from the side of the screen and spears for everyone. And it's Roman Reigns wearing a Wreck Everyone and Leave t-shirt, which is a blatant ripoff of Stone Cold Steve Austin, if I don't mind saying myself.
Arrive, Reigns, hell, leave. Yeah.
Yeah. But the question I have is the way that he was running down everybody. He wasn't just running down Wyatt. He was also running down Strowman and the mannerisms. I think what we have in our hands is the long-awaited and much craved after Roman Reigns heel turn.
Getting that notification about Chadwick on my phone and then going to Twitter and Google and trying to verify that it was indeed a fact, I saw something. People know we record this during like the second half of SmackDown. Normally we watch SmackDown after. I saw a spoiler of sorts for something that happened just a couple hours ago on SmackDown while scrolling Twitter to confirm the Chadwick Bozeman stuff. I don't know if you want a spoiler, but if you do, I saw it on Twitter.
Well,
Roman Reigns has a manager.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman.
Holy fuck. Okay. rewind life a couple of years. Brian, I called it in your house at WrestleMania. I was just a couple of years too early. When they, whatever Mania it was, where it was Roman and Brock, son of a gun. But whatever Mania it was, where it was Roman and Brock, and Brock was teasing that he and Paul Heyman were having a falling out. I was thinking they were going to do the heel turn then with Paul Heyman as the manager. Called it just a couple years too early. Holy crap. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had my world rocked quite so much during the course of filming an episode of Wrestling with Egos, but I am nothing if not a broadcast professional. I will do my level best to.
I am flabbergasted, flummoxed, and perplexed. And
You might see Brian break out an apoplectic tonight.
Get to it. Beat you to it. So okay. So yes, Roman's heel.
Yeah.
Real quick on SummerSlam, that match with Wyatt and Strowman. Somebody finally did it. And it was Strowman. Literally looked at the Fiend, who I have been saying for the last year is like an 80s horror villain. You know, Freddy, Michael, Jason, whatever. Looked at him. Why won't you die? I'm like, finally. It only took a year. It only took a freaking year. We could have done this when Seth Rollins buried the Fiend under chairs, a ladder, a toolbox, and then used a sledgehammer. And then he still got up. We could have done it then. We didn't. Now we get it. Why won't you die?
I mean, all in all, I thought SummerSlam was actually a well-constructed, for the most part, show from start to finish. I thought TakeOver 30 is, same thing. Well-constructed.
TakeOver SummerSlam was a good, solid beat.
There were not a whole lot of missteps. Mandy and Sonya wound up being a very entertaining match because I did not know Mandy Rose had all that offense in her.
No.
She's obviously been putting some work in.
That was a fight. I liked it. Everything that I'm reading looks like when they do the draft here in about a month and change, that they're going to bring Sonya back into the fold. And I like the comment that she made to .com as she's exiting the building. The whoever was filming it was asking her, Sonya, how are you feeling? Blah, 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 blah. Don't ever call me that again. And then shoves the camera out of the way.
Okay.
Possibly coming back as a real name.
Yeah. That would make sense.
I'm like, that would be kind of cool. Because like Brian and I were discussing last week, there is an obvious reason why they changed this match to Loser Leaves Town.
Right, absolutely.
Some idiot psychopath, hey, we go back to idiots trying to ruin it for everybody else. We'll leave it at that. We're not going to glorify that fart knocker any more than we did last week. Moving right along, is there anything else from SummerSlam that stood out, boys and girls?
I think those are the highlights,
Cool.
for me.
RJ, before we get into the topic of the PWI 500, let's talk some AEW.
Right.
And let's start with the aforementioned from earlier in the show, emergence, if you will, of the Dark Order and how that played out. let me just start off by saying I loved it. But hang on, I would like to rewind just a second. And I said this to you guys in our group chat that we constantly are in. Since when has Cody Rhodes started going, been using the phrase the Prince of Pro Wrestling? I heard Justin Roberts call him that before that match and wanted to barf.
I love it, and I will tell you why I love it.
I know exactly why you love it.
I know why I love it too.
Walking away because I got to go to potty.
The reason that I love it, so that wasn't the first time it was used. It was actually used the week before that for the first time. Justin Roberts called him the Prince of Pro Wrestling. And the reason why I love it is because it is another step towards heel Cody. The heel Cody that we had before Ultra Babyface AEW.
Conquering Hero Cody.
Like, right. The heel Cody that we had when he was in Bullet Club, when he was threatening to change the Bullet Club logo, and like the heel Cody that we had when he was going against Kenny and trying to rip Kenny and the Young Bucks apart, and that heel Cody. It seems to me that every single week we get another step towards Cody just completely turning heel. Whether it's his smile getting bigger, whether it's him using heel cheating tactics in matches, whether it's making Justin Roberts extend his introduction from TNT champion Cody to the American Nightmare to the Prince of Pro Wrestling. It's all a step in the direction that leads to heel Cody, and I love the slow build of this turn. I love it.
Brian,
Here's a sneak.
I got something. You go first.
Here's another sneaky good reason why it works. Alliteration. PR and PR, boys and girls, that's called alliteration. And alliteration moves that merch in the world of pro wrestling. It's a beautiful thing.
Not just moves the merch in pro wrestling. Alliteration, as someone with a newspaper background, alliteration works for headlines. You see alliteration in a headline, and that catches your attention. You read. Alliteration is attractive to not only the eyes but the ears as well. So very good point on that one. My point, call it a theory, if you will. I'm really going dusty on the if you wills tonight, but whatever. I have a theory to piggyback off what you said, good Mr. RJ. Yes, gearing towards the Cody heel turn. A lot of people are kind of slowly moving that way. You got Cody. You got Hangman. You got FTR. You got Sean. You got Sean Spears. You got Arn and Tully.
You are pulling right into the next thing I was going to say.
Could this... Now, granted...
You smell that?
Now...
I smell a faction.
Excluding Arn and Tully. 5 guys there, right? Could this be the beginning of something like that?
It is. I think it is.
I do too.
I think the Sean Spears and FTR stuff makes perfect sense with Tully Blanchard as the manager of both of them. And then Cody coming back as a heel. What I can see of a really... I was talking to members of my family about this the other day. I could see Cody being taken out by the Dark Order, being out an indefinite amount of time, as they said last night on Dynamite.
Hashtag to film episodes of Heels with his buddy Stephen Amell.
I could see 100% Sean Spears and FTR becoming a thing as Tully is in the corner of both of them. And then something along the lines of what I'm thinking would be a really great heel turn and would work with the AEW audience. That's the big thing. It has to work with the AEW audience. You can turn Cody heel all you want. You cannot make me stop cheering him. You know how you can make me stop cheering him? If the way he returns is costing the Young Bucks a World Tag Team title match against FTR. Then all these elite loving AEW fans are boo the freaking crap out of Cody. I think that's the way you do it. By the way, you left out Kenny Omega in the slow heel turn. He is also slowly turning heel, so don't forget him. He keeps beating up guys, and the Young Bucks have to pull him off.
I totally missed that. So could we?
Yay!
So here's a question. All of those guys we just mentioned, Hangman and Kenny and Cody and FTR and Sean, who's the faction?
I gotta. My money's on FTR, Sean Spears, and Cody.
And then Hangman and Kenny just kind of they're on their own.
I see Kenny becoming a lone wolf kind of deal anyway, going back to a similar character as the Cleaner, not exactly, but a similar character as the Cleaner, and being kind of his own person. Hangman is so up in the air right now that I love how twisted and confused my mind is with Hangman right now. It's being phenomenally well done. With him becoming drinking buddies with FTR, it could 100% go that way. Yeah. The way he reacted last night when the Young Bucks called him a drunk and kicked him out of the Elite, the way he reacted to that could be an eye-opening awakening of, oh my God, I am a drunk and I'm losing all my friends, and he doesn't turn heel. Like, it's all... Yeah. I'm so confused about what they're doing with Hangman. It's great. I love being confused in pro wrestling.
Right. Okay. I hate doing this, but I'm looking at this faction because let's be honest, if they're gonna do this, and I've criticized AEW and Cody for doing this a lot of, and I'm gonna assume that this is what he creatively is doing. He's ripping off another NWA idea, this one. But I'm looking at, okay, he's really gonna do it. Namely, he's gonna find each person to fill the role of somebody from the heyday of the Four Horsemen. Okay, who's your tag? Who is Tully and Arn? FTR. Yeah. Freaking duh. Who's Nate? Who's Nate? Cody. You could easily do two things right here. Who's your Barry Windham? Sean Spears. Makes perfect sense because he's wearing the black glove.
I disagree. I think Hangman makes sense for Barry Windham.
No, Sean Spears is already there because he's got the glove. He is the heavy hitter. Hangman, because here's what you can do. Cody is Nate. You have a tag team to be Arn and Tully. You can even make Sean Arn by himself as the enforcer, and then you can make Hangman the Tully because he's the technician.
I like it. Can I'll mention one other thing that I mentioned to my family. I think if you put four guys together, any four guys, I don't care how close FTR is to Arn and Tully. I don't care. Any 4 guys. You put 4 guys together, 4 guys, 4 current day professional wrestlers, and you call them the 4 Horsemen, and I hate it. I hate it. I think it's a dumb idea. I think it's stupid to call them the 4 Horsemen. But
they can't
if
call them
those 4 guys have Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard standing behind them like they will, then it is okay to call them the 4 Horsemen, and I love it.
Well, they won't be able to call them that because WWE owns that trademark.
Well, right, but you know what I mean. Like, you make them the odd, because they've all been doing this. Like, Shawn Spears keeps scratching his chest like this, and Cody made sure in one of his promos that he said something about 1, 2, 3, 4 times. 4, huh? Something's awesome about the number 4, huh? 4, and he made a big thing about 4. FTR was flashing the 4 at Butcher and Blade when they first came in. They're all doing it. So it's clear what they're trying to do. You put a group together and try to make them the modern day 4 Horsemen, I think it's horrible. But if you put them together and you have Arn and Tully with them, that legitimizes the group.
Right, because you have the endorsement of, okay, yes, Ric Flair was the flagship of the 4 Horsemen. Tully and Arn were the OG.
Right, absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm looking very forward to seeing how this goes. Let's wrap tonight up with a discussion about the newly released PWI 500 for the year 2020. What a weird wrestling year it has been, boys and girls. But you know what? We made the best of it. Deservedly so. Some will argue, some won't. Number 1 is Jon Moxley. And RJ mentioned this to us before we went on the show. RJ, actually, I'm not even going to try to paraphrase it. Describe for the uninitiated what the PWI 500 really is from Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
So the PWI 500, as you just mentioned, it's Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and they put out every year. It is my favorite magazine put out by any magazine publisher all year. It's the PWI 500, where they list the 500 best wrestlers in the world. By best wrestlers in the world, what they actually do, it goes, for people that don't know, it goes from the beginning of July. It's not a January to December thing. It goes from the beginning of July one year, so July to 2019, to the end of June the following year. So this grading period, per se, for the PWI 500 would be the beginning of July last year to the end of June this year is the grading period for the PWI 500. This is purely done in what we have in kayfabe, in pretend land. It is not based on who is the actual best wrestler in the world right now. If we're being honest, that the number 1 in the PWI 500 is Jon Moxley. I don't know that there's anybody in the world that would say Jon Moxley is the best wrestler in the world. Maybe Renee Paquette might, but she would be the only one.
And you know what? She has every freaking right to do that.
Damn right she does. What the PWI 500 actually is a achievements list. It's Jon Moxley is number 1 on this list because PWI has deemed that Jon Moxley, the character Jon Moxley on the screen, the Jon Moxley you see on TV, has accomplished the most in this calendar year, being from the beginning of July to the end of June. That is why he is number 1. That's how this works. It's based purely on kayfabe. It's not the best wrestler in the world. It's based on achievements, championships won, matches won versus matches lost.
Right. Impact on the business. Things that, those, we like this word here on Wrestling with Egos, intangibles. We love that word here. Real quick, RJ, I know you've got the list ready, steady. Rattle off for us the AEW. Jesus Christ. The PWI top 25.
Top 25. I will do that. I will rattle it off quickly. Number 1, as previously mentioned, is Jon Moxley. Number 2 is Adam Cole, baby. Number 3 is Chris Jericho. Then we have Drew McIntyre at 4. 5 is Tetsuya Naito. Number 6, Kazuchika Okada. 7, Cody Rhodes. 8, Seth Rollins. 9, Kofi Kingston. Rounding out the top 10, we have AJ Styles. Put your hands together. You missed the vote on that one. You could have done that. Number 11.
I've got 10, Brian. You got to help me out.
Number 11 is Keith Lee. Number 12 is Brock Lesnar. Number 13 is the best bout machine, Kenny Omega. Number 14 is Roman Reigns. Number 15, Nick Aldis. For those that don't know, he is the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. Number 16 is Bray Wyatt. 17 is Kota Ibushi. 18 is Rush, Ring of Honor World Champion. Number 19 is Braun Strowman. Number 20 is Jacob Fatu from MLW. Number 21.
RJ, you're up. You got to do the last 5.
All right. 21 is 21 is Will Ospreay. Number 22 is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. Number 23 is Aleister Black. Number 24 is Kento Miyahara from Japan. And number 25 is the Chop Machine Walter.
I got a couple of issues with this issue. Number 1, RJ, you and I might need to do a separate show for this particular debate. I would flip-flop 1 and 2.
I would not.
I kind of figured that is what you would say. I respect your opinion. I don't really think ultimately there's a wrong answer. My personal preference. I think Adam Cole has done more in the last year as far as an impact way of looking at it than Jon Moxley. Yes, Jon Moxley has been the flagship for a brand new promotion. Adam Cole has taken a promotion that has been well established as the biggest company in the world's best brand and elevated its championship to all new heights. And simply because of work rate. To me, and being the fact that, in my opinion, also looking at what he's done in the ring, if you're looking at, in-ring ability, who's had the best year, you could probably put Adam Cole at the top of that list.
You could also maybe not. I have to remind you that last year's G1 falls under this grading period, and Jon Moxley destroyed the G1. He didn't win, but Moxley became, to people that didn't previously know Jon Moxley, showed them who Jon Moxley is in G1. Tore that tournament up wrestling-wise, is still, right now, at this moment, the IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion, as well as being the AEW World Champion. There is a more of a conversation that you and I should have about this when we're not trying to discuss the entire top 25, when we just want to focus on 1 and 2. There is a conversation to be had.
Yes, and I think we need to do that more sooner. Anyway, moving right along to the real problem I got. Nick Aldis is what, 15?
Nick Aldis is 15, Bray Wyatt 16.
Stop right the bleep there. You mean to tell me? All right, so we're looking at the grading period from July of last year to June of 2020. You mean to tell me, number one, that Nick Aldis at 15 has had more of an impact on this business than the hottest freaking character in wrestling today over the last year? Horse crap.
But
Looking
Patrick, they've got 3 R's in their name. It's NWA Power
really,
and he looks so good in those suits and ties. I mean, you gotta,
I know in this strictly business, God, Nick Aldis.
Obviously, I'm kidding.
Be one of, you know what? Nick Aldis belongs at the very tippy top of the PWI 500 most overrated. There is no way in the deepest, darkest pits of blackest hell that Nick Aldis deserves to be above Bray Wyatt.
I go ahead.
There is,
Kota Ibushi for that
because
match.
of what Bray Wyatt has done and created over the last 12 months, there is no way Bray Wyatt does not need to, should be outside of the top 5.
I am going to simultaneously agree with you and disagree with you. I 100%
choose your words wisely.
I 100% agree with you that there is no way on our God's green earth that Nick Aldis should be ranked above Bray Wyatt. I also agree that when taking into account what you've done for the business over the last year and the overness of your character, Bray Wyatt 100% is way underranked at 16, especially considering that he has a Universal Championship reign inside the grading period. Bray Wyatt is way underrated. 16 is way too low.
And
I also agree.
Don't forget the Firefly Funhouse.
I also agree that Nick Aldis is overrated at 15. To say that Nick Aldis belongs at the top of an overrated list, I think, is ridiculous. Nick Aldis is a phenomenal specimen as a human being and a unbelievably fluid professional wrestler. If Nick Aldis worked for a company that was on national television, he would be top 10 on this list, and there would be no discussion against him.
I will disagree. I watched him a lot in Impact because when he was Magnus in TNA, Impact, whatever you want to call it, Impact was actually worth watching. And I thought he sucked then.
He did. NW World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis has been heads and shoulders better than Magnus was.
See, the last time I saw a Nick Aldis match was at, Brian, brace yourself, it's coming. It was at All In.
I was there. I can actually reach right over here, and I have a bag right here. This is totally not pre-planned at all. Swear to God, it just happens to be right here. This is a bag filled with confetti and Okada bucks from All In.
Wow.
I actually have a you know how they sell those Christmas ornaments that are blank that you can like open and they're clear? Yeah. I actually have one that I put a bunch of confetti from All In and used paint and painted the All In logo on it. It's really, really cool. Anyway.
Nice. Anyway, That's the last Nick Aldis match I saw, was the match at All In with Cody for the NWA World Championship.
Match was really good, and it was nothing compared to the match where Nick Aldis took the belt back.
Never saw it. But still, I digress. Really got a problem with Bray being that low.
And I will say, there is no way on this planet that anybody whose top accomplishment is NWA World Heavyweight Champion in 2020, in the current modern age that we live in, when your biggest accomplishment is NWA World Heavyweight Champion, you're probably not in the top 50.
Yeah.
I think he's forgiven his accomplishments and what he has done within the business in the last year. NWA Power shut down. Like, they didn't do shows for 3 months at all. They're still shut down. Like, he's had half the year he didn't do anything. And even in the time where you did, NWA Power is a YouTube show. Like,
Power.
there's no way he should be ranked anywhere near Bray Wyatt, let alone above him.
Right. That's when you mentioned to us before we started filming the list, that was my big sticking point. Nick Aldis above, I'm not even gonna say Bray Wyatt. You putting Nick Aldis above the Fiend? Kiss my butt.
Right. For what he has been able to accomplish in only a year as that character, 16 is way too low for him.
I agree.
I don't care who's at 15. If you could put Nick Aldis at 53, and I would still say Bray Wyatt at 16 is ridiculous.
Right. And and I think the argument is less about Nick Aldis at 15 than it is Bray Wyatt at 16.
Yeah, right.
Nick Aldis just happens to be collateral damage because he's right above Bray, and is what the hell, Bray's 16?
How many? Let me ask you a question. Since I am out of the loop a bit when it comes to WWE, not watching as much as I used to.
Right.
So maybe I'm missing something, but how many matches has Brock Lesnar wrestled in the grading period to be ranked at 12?
Let's see. He wrestled. He didn't wrestle at SummerSlam. He came back. We didn't see Brock return until
He was at Survivor Series.
we didn't see him come back until WWE on Fox.
Right, because he squashed Kofi.
And that was October, because that's when he cashed in Money in the Bank.
When he squashed Kofi.
When he squashed Kofi, he cashed in Money in the Bank at the inaugural WWE on Fox. So that's what, October?
Yeah.
And then he was WWE champion. He would have had a match at Survivor Series against who? Against
It wasn't it AJ, or it was originally gonna be, or was that the year before? That might have been the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the year before.
Well, there was some conjecture about whether they were going to do Cole versus Lesnar versus.
Oh, right. Right.
But that didn't happen.
Right.
I don't remember. I mean, like I said, maybe I'm out of the loop. I just don't see. I mean, I understand he held the WWE Championship for a lot of the time, but so what?
Right. Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, in all actuality,
how much does it mean?
Right. In all actuality, Brock Lesnar, I'm going to be generous and say 7 matches or less. Probably closer to 5 or less. But I'm going to be generous and say 7 matches at most in this grading period. but those matches were all championship. So, that's going to take, with their grading criteria, that's going to have a crap load of weight. Same reason Adam Cole is number 2, because during this entire grading period, Adam Cole was NXT champion.
Right. And that's why Jericho is 3, because he was AEW champion most of the time.
Right. Moxley at 1, mainly because when Moxley started feuding with the Inner Circle, Moxley was just red hot.
Yeah.
But still, the Fiend at 16.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I've got here's just a couple of highlights as to how over the Fiend was. SummerSlam last year, sitting at that man's house, who now sits in front of a brick wall. Finn Balor makes his entrance. Everybody's, doing the Finn Balor thing. Firefly Funhouse theme comes on, fades out, lights. Let Me In by Code Orange starts playing. And then you see the lantern. You don't know what the lantern is at this point. And it's just that slow walk. All right. Think about this. At Brian's house, you've got people like me and Big Isaac and Hello Nurse and AKA Mrs. Rant Mode On and people like that. Loud people that are not quiet and also don't shut up. Silence.
It was silence at my house too.
Could not say a word. And then when Bray puts the lantern on the apron and you see what the F that is for the first time, me and Big Isaac do this at the exact same time. It was an audible gasp. All right, so there's one. Go back and watch the WWE watch-along party from SummerSlam. Go straight to Finn versus Bray and watch the group of wrestlers watching Bray's entrance. You have everybody on the right-hand side like, oh my God, quietly, oh my God, you got the Iconics and Caleb Braxton and some other people all on the right side of the screen, kind of like a lot of this. Now, shift your eyes to the left, far left of that screen, and our boy, Johnny freaking Gargano.
I will never forget his face watching that as long as I live.
Johnny's face goes from shock to, sorry to be a little crass here, a wrestling orgasm.
I agree.
Watching this. How in the blue hell is he 16?
I'm sitting here looking at the list. So I think there are legitimate arguments to make that Moxley, Cole, and Jericho are legitimately, without any discussion, above Bray.
No question.
After that, Drew McIntyre, Tetsuya Naito, Kazuchika Okada, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Kofi Kingston, AJ Styles, Keith Lee, Brock Lesnar, Kenny Omega, Roman Reigns, and Nick Aldis. I don't think I could put an argument together for all those guys combined to be above Bray Wyatt. Me! There's no argument that Kenny Omega is above Bray Wyatt. There isn't one. He's not.
There's one guy on that list I might put above Bray Wyatt.
Keith Lee?
Tetsuya Naito.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say Naito.
Naito.
Double champion for since January.
Right. Naito might be the only guy above Moxley, Jericho, Cole, no particular order, that I might put above. I'm sticking to the point that I'm making. The Fiend.
Right. Yeah.
If it's me, I'm dropping Lesnar, I'm dropping Reigns, I'm dropping Aldis, and I'm dropping Seth Rollins to raise the Fiend up somewhat. Because I see why the guys are where they are for the most part. You know, you're taking cachet into it, you're taking performance in tournaments into it, you're taking, you know,
Right.
with Okada, it's pedigree. I mean, you know, it's obviously a bit of a lifetime achievement award. You can't put Okada down at like 46.
Yeah, he had the
Okada is still freaking Okada.
Yeah.
and he did have the IWGP Heavyweight Championship for the majority of the grading period. Well, for half the grading period, and then when he didn't anymore, when New Japan came back after the pandemic, he made it to the New Japan Cup final. So
yeah.
Yeah, just because he lost the title.
You know who else I'd put higher?
Huh?
You know who else I think is underranked?
Who?
And this is going to surprise both of you. I think Maxwell Jacob Friedman is too low at 22.
as do I.
Okay.
Yes.
What,
Now, I'm not saying put him in the top 10.
at 22, yes. I don't know how high I'd want to put him because here's my thing. I think a lot of people that aren't, excuse me for saying this, RJ, but don't have an AEW hard on, look at MJF the same way I do. The first part of the year, first part of what this grading period would have been, flip the calendar to 2020, it's a completely different MJF.
But it goes back to the slow build that we've been talking about that we crave so much.
Right.
We're not strapping the rocket to you right away, but that, you know, those little fits and starts that, you know, back last summer were all part of this.
Agreed. But I see, my whole thing is at the beginning of the pandemic, we saw less of him in the ring and more of him gambling at ringside with Shawn Spears.
Right.
And for me, don't get me wrong, I completely agree that he deserves to be higher than 22. Now, if you're going to tell me over the last 4 months, where does MJF belong? MJF definitely is top 10. Maybe top 5.
Maybe.
Definitely, without question, top 10. Along with Moxley, Cole, Jericho, Naito, Fiend. Those guys do not drop out at all. But yeah, MJF definitely too low. I might even argue Keith Lee too low.
Maybe.
I'd bump him up a couple spots.
I would bump him into the top 10.
He's definitely above Rollins for me. I think Rollins at 8 is ridiculous.
Oh, I think it's asinine.
Another thing that I think is ridiculous that I have to mention that is going to fly under the radar because he's not a big, huge name is, I apologize in advance if you take this as an insult, Brian. It is not meant as one. Brian, who is Jacob Fatu?
You told me this before, and I forget what promotion you said, but he's
there. Exactly my point as to why the hell he should not be number 20.
He's
Who the hell is Jacob Fatu? I mean, I know who he is.
Did you say MLW?
Yeah, he's MLW World Champion. Yeah.
Okay, I was listening, again, we've beaten this point to death on this show so many times about how I'm in the process of broadening my horizons to other promotions.
And I consume what is maybe a little bit too much of different wrestling promotions from everywhere, and
I don't think so.
I barely know who Jacob Fatu is. I mean, he's phenomenal. The times I've seen him, he's been really, really good. He if WWE ever gets a hold of this kid, it's over. But
am I assuming that he is related to Big Quiche?
I believe that he is his nephew, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So
But
he
are related.
he is a member of that Fatu. I don't know why.
No. Yeah. Let me see
Okay.
if.
Small army.
Yeah. He is a member of the Inoue family. He was. It says he was trained by Rikishi.
Okay. Well, if he's not,
Hell of a lot of questions.
if he's not one of Kishi's
Right.
kids, if he's not one of Rikishi's kids, then he's got to be one of Samu's.
Personal life.
Yeah. Because there's 3 names on this list I don't recognize, which I think
Fatu and who else?
Miyahara.
Okay. I don't recognize Miyahara. I recognize Fatu a little bit. I did recognize Roosh because I watched that entire back and forth between Roosh and PCO over the ROH World Title because that was actually fun. Then again, I also thought PCO's run as ROH World Champ was really awesome because to see old ass Pierre Owlette as a world champion at like 95 years old playing this Frankenstein kind of role. I'm like, this is awesome.
And I was the exact opposite. I effing hated that.
You okay?
I hated it. So I can't find. He is part of the family. He was trained by Rikishi. He's not one of their kids. His dad says, oh, where did it go? Sam Fatu is his dad.
He's Samu. He's the other head shrinker. He's the other member of the Samoan SWAT team.
And how old is Jacob? Is he like in his early 20s or something?
Yeah. Jacob.
Yeah.
Jacob is. Give me 1 second. He is. Oh my god. I don't know how old he is. It doesn't say. I know he's young. He's got. Yeah, I can tell you, he's got 6 kids. I can tell you that.
Damn.
Kento Miyahara is from All Japan, by the way. He's a former 4-time Triple Crown champion. I don't watch All Japan. I never have. I know a lot of the names though, and he is one of the names that is consistently the top name you hear coming out of All Japan.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you this. The Prince is sitting here looking at all these tough guys ranked ahead of him in the PWI top 500, and he's not too happy about it. But I understand it. I totally understand it.
My tablet, the battery on my tablet went south on me. Where is Balor?
He's not in the top 25.
If you clowns in the PWI want to put me at 75, that's fine, but you're going to do it at your peril. I'll tell you that.
Here's something I'll tell you. Apparently, Jacob Fatu's birthday is unknown to everybody. I'm trying to find it, and every wrestling site and Wikipedia has his birthday listed as unknown.
Well,
He's
you
a
know
man
what?
of mystery.
You know what? We're gonna say that his birthday is today. Happy birthday, Jacob Fatu.
Happy birthday, Jacob Fatu.
Here's to you.
Cheers. Well, you know what? Let's stop worrying about Jacob Fatu's birthday and everything else. I hate to do this. We were going to talk about Shawn and Taker from WrestleMania 25, but we're now looking at an hour and a half long show. We got to push this back one more damn week.
Yes.
We got on this tangent of the PWI 500, and well, crap. Sorry, Brian. I know you want to talk about it. Literally every week in our production meeting, like, can we please talk about it this week? Can we please talk about it this week? And then we run out of time.
35 is your answer.
Balor's 35.
Balor is number 35.
Well, with no championships, makes sense.
He's ranked
Like I
fourth.
said, I understand it. That doesn't mean I like it.
I didn't hear any of that, RJ.
He's ranked 4 spots below PCO.
Okay, that's hot garbage.
So to just quickly 26 to 35, the rest of the people ranked above Balor. So starting at 26, Shinsuke Nakamura, Andrade, Jay White, Roderick Strong, Tommaso Ciampa, PCO, Daniel Bryan, Hangman Adam Page, and Bandito, and then Finn Balor.
I would do a massive reshake of that list because there's a lot of guys that you just mentioned that I'd put into that top 25.
Yeah, me too.
We're going to have a 4-hour show, aren't we? Because we're going to redraft the entire PWI top 500.
Right now. Cue them. Hey, Ace, please, Ace, give me a beat.
Let's go.
All right. As always, you hear Goat Walk from Ace 500 playing us out and playing us in. Thanks to our boy for the music. Love you, Ace. Yeah, man. Appreciate you guys watching. Before we get out of here, any final thoughts not related to the PWI 500 that is no longer allowed as a part of this discussion? Brian.
I am looking forward to the Mimosa Madness match between Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy.
It from me.
Let's go. Let's get it though.
I'm literally about to say, how did we make it through this whole show without saying Mimosa Mayhem?
Mimosa Mayhem, Mimosa Mayhem, Mimosa Mayhem. By the way, just because of that, that is the title of this week's show, Mimosa Mayhem.
Wait, I have to mention that me and the wifey have a plan for the night of All Out. As you can see,
the Mimosa Mayhem match. I don't want to hear it.
That is an official bottle of a little bit of the bubbly. There's another one in my refrigerator. We are going to make mimosas with a little bit of the bubbly for All Out.
Happy Canada Day.
Mic drop. You know what? Forget anything else we were going to say. We're going to end it with that. That's our story, and we're sticking to it.